Now, I don't know how your mind works. Have you ever considered what the purpose of life is, or what life's meaning is? And have you ever found yourself pondering over these deep and meaningful questions and then, just end up arriving absolutely nowhere, nowhere useful? My mind used to kind of work in this way. I used to think, is there a universal life force out there who's pulling all the strings? Is there a God sitting up in the clouds, maybe a big long white beard and a staff who's wagging his finger, tutting at people who are misbehaving and not getting things perfect? And I guess we're all in this process of working things out. It doesn't really matter where we find ourselves in life, does it? We could be parents, we could be young, single, unemployed, employed, we could be operating as a director or as a CEO or in high profile sales. And it doesn't really matter what we do with our life, we all find ourselves at some point asking exactly the same questions. What's the point of all this? I've probably spent the last 12 years of my life working so hard. Some days, we've all been guilty of this at some point, doing the 12, 14, 16-hour days that comes at the cost of relationships that we could otherwise be having, or taking a little bit of time out and just appreciating life. Sometimes it takes something to come along to really grab our attention, to get us thinking, along these kind of slightly more meaningful lines. Well, what's the point of all this? I think after around about 10 to 12 years of kind of studying philosophy and psychology and all these sorts of things, which are fascinating, there are some ideas that we can study that just leave us with even more questions and answers. But the one thing I've really made peace with inside of my mind is something I want to share with you today. And this is the difference between the purpose of life and the meaning of life. All right. Now, what I don't want to do here is give you some sort of philosophical concept that you're just going to have an opinion about, but essentially means nothing to the way in which you live your life. Instead, I want to give you something a little bit more practical and a little bit more useful. What I've come to understand is that as human beings, we're all assigning meaning onto all things all the time. All right. Every single day, we are having experiences, we're having encounters, perhaps in work, in family, in our social life, as we walk through the street, as we sit in a restaurant, if we go for a beer, doesn't matter what we do, we're all having experiences. And every single experience we have, we assign meaning onto. All right, think about how it is that we're kind of raised as children. Our mindset is very much black and white, isn't it? Some things are good, some things are bad. If people do good things that we like, they're good people. If people do bad things that we don't like, they're bad people. And life is just so black and white and so rigid and inflexible. It's only as we kind of mature, grow a little bit older, become a bit more abstract and flexible in our thinking, that we start to appreciate the 50 Shades of Grey. And I'm not talking about that kind of naughty, spanky film. I'm talking about very, very practically. There's this endless range of shades of grey in life. All right, and the more abstract we become in our thinking, the more we come to appreciate all of the different shades of grey. That, all people all of the time can be good and bad, right and wrong, in and out, up and down, every single day of the week. It's not like people just kind of fit into one category or the other category and then change their mind and then step into yet another category at some point later on in life. Now, where all this is going is, we have experiences. We perhaps sometimes get promoted, or we'll get laid off work, or sometimes some people will say yes to us, and sometimes some people will say no to us. And every experience we have, we will assign a meaning onto. We will arrive at some sort of conclusion or estimation inside of our mind about what this thing, or what this person, or what this experience means. If we go through life assigning positive meanings onto the experiences and events that we have, we're going to look forward into the future through a relatively positive set of, goggles, if you like. If, however, we've kind of gone through life and every experience that we've had means that we are not enough, or we are not smart enough, or we are not clever enough, or skilled enough, or talented enough, or just enough in general, there's a pretty good chance that we're then going to look to the future through the lens of apprehension, self-doubt, insecurity, something like this. All right, so the reason why I say this is because purpose is always future orientated. Life's meaning is more to do with what our past experiences have meant to us. All right, so if we want to become more effective in our ways, we've got to consider what it is that we actually want to accomplish at some point in life. All right, this could be in a week's time, or 2 weeks' time, or a month from now, or 10 years from now, or whatever. Because if we are looking forward to accomplishing or achieving or producing or creating something meaningful that's actually going to add value back to the world or society or people that we know in some way, then this kind of gives us this sense of purpose. Right? Some people go through life super spiritualizing and getting all sorts of all weird and whacked out about what's the purpose? Is some sort of, angel divine going to come down and cast this purpose upon me? And it's nonsense, right? The purpose of our life is actually down to every single one of us to determine. And what makes life purposeful is when we look at our pasts, the meanings that we've assigned onto things. If we've experienced highs or lows or ups or downs, all of this stuff will have impacted or influenced us in some way. If we feel that we've gone through life having experienced a little bit of lack in some way, then it can suddenly become quite meaningful if we were to take it upon ourselves to look at how it is that we could potentially play a part in filling this void or this hole in the context of other people's lives. Sometimes the most meaningful thing we can do in life, full stop, is becoming the kind of person for other people that we've never had for ourselves. Because some people go through life weighed down by the past, feeling sorry for themselves, as if they're some sort of victim to society. And don't get me wrong, some people will say, but I am a victim, I have been victimized, it's fantastic. But it's not a particularly empowering mindset to approach our futures with. Instead, when we become students of life, if we ever become students of life, we can look to just take the lessons that we've learned along the way, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, the 50 different shades of grey, look at what we've learned, look at what we've lacked, and just simply make a well-informed decision about what we actually intend to do about it, if anything. If we decide to add some value back to the workplace, to the organisation in which we've kind of employed, in society, culture, family, through groups of friends, whatever, it doesn't really make any difference. Life becomes meaningful and purposeful when we commit to the process of giving back in some way, making life for other people better than what we potentially had for ourselves. Alright, so listen, I don't know where this finds you today. I'm hoping it lands somewhere useful. But that's all for now. I'll look forward to seeing you again in one of these other chats.